Each day at Wesley Meadows is a new opportunity to serve older adults and reimagine retirement living. It is the heart of their mission that inspires their team to provide the kind of fun atmosphere and care residents would want for themselves. Experience the warm spirit and faith-based difference of Wesley Meadows. Call 662-429-2070 and schedule your visit today. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is the Real Hernando podcast, and it is presented to you by Wesley Meadows Retirement Community and recorded at SRP Studios right here in Hernando. Today's guest is Kelsey Jones, head librarian of the James F. Anderson Library, a branch of First Regional Library. First Regional is a 5-county public library cooperative with 14 branches in northern Mississippi. The region was formed among DeSoto, Tate, Panola, and Lafayette counties in 1950, and then later in 1968, Tunica County. Hernando's James F. Anderson branch is at 370 West Commerce Street, right downtown, right at the square, across the street from the studio, actually. And so for more information, go to firstregional.org. Kelsey, thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
So I'm going to give a shout out to my mom and thank her for this connection. She is a fan of the library. She goes there for the little courses and met you. And she thought you were cute, to be honest. And she's like, you got to have her on the podcast and gave me your card.
Awesome.
So I was like, of course. You know, a librarian is definitely a piece of the fabric when it comes to a community. So it was a no-brainer to do this. But it's a little different than interviewing a business owner. It's always about the person. We're going to get to know you and everything. But with something like this, there's also an educational factor. What does it mean to be a head librarian? What does it mean to be that librarian here in Hernando, the connections? And I also want to see if the Dewey Decimal System still exists.
It definitely does.
So awesome. So before on the front end, I want to do a little bit of that education.
Yes.
And then we'll get to you and then circle back to the library. So what does it mean to be a head librarian? What is that role?
Basically, the role of being a head librarian is looking at the needs of the community and trying to meet those needs in the best way possible, whether that be getting in contact with resources that can help and providing those resources, or even just, getting involved with the patrons and the community yourself and helping them with something as simple as setting up an email or, applying for financial assistance through the government. There's just all kinds of roles and all kinds of hats you wear as a public librarian. You are pretty much a public servant. Okay, yeah. And I've never been able to ask a head librarian. It's easy to not think of all that. When I was a kid going to the librarian was the person that you gave the card to get the book. Yeah, we definitely still do that. And I will say that's probably our major purpose is to provide resources, but it's also to provide assistance, understanding, and community involvement. Aside from just resources, we also provide programming, recreational and educational whenever we get a chance.
Yeah, and we'll definitely dig into all that. And I had the fortune to speak at the Rotary Club a few weeks ago, and it's at the top floor. So you're definitely providing a space for the community with that too.
Yes, our meeting room, it's amazing. It's even available during hours when we're closed on Sundays and Saturdays. So all you have to do is, come into the facility and request a form to apply, to use the space. And we even do annual forms for people where they come in once a year, they put in their request, and we either approve it or get back to them and let them know that time may not work.
Okay, gotcha. So when did you start Hernando?
So I started in Hernando on the 17th of October. I'm still pretty new.
So as we record this, it's December 19th, I think?
Yes, so I've been there just over 2 months.
Did you move to Hernando?
I am actually in Bartlett, Tennessee right now. So I travel to and from work, but it's honestly not too bad when you have audiobooks that are available from Libby and Hoopla, which we do provide here at the library. Yep, that's a shout out for some more resources for entertainment and recreation.
Cool. So why Hernando? Was it just an opening, or did you?
There was an opening, and I was in the market for finding another library position. I have a master's in information sciences, library sciences, for those who aren't familiar with that term.
It's called information sciences?
Yes, it is.
I've never heard that before, yeah.
Yes, I got my degree from the University of Knoxville in 2019. Yes, I completed my program. I worked as a library director for about 3 years at my previous library in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Okay.
And I moved actually to the Memphis area for my husband and I to help my father out with my father's company.
Okay.
So,
and when was that?
This was in May of this year when we moved.
So the big move this year.
It was.
So from Gatlinburg, which that's east, right?
Yes, it is. It's almost as far east as you can get in the state
but beautiful
of Tennessee.
area.
It's gorgeous.
Mountains and everything.
Absolutely beautiful.
I read that you're from Paris, Tennessee.
I am. Well, technically, I'm from Memphis. And then I moved to Paris when I was a young child, like 11. So kind of from both.
Hence why you came to help your dad.
Yes, exactly.
So that's the connection.
Yes.
So what does your dad do?
My dad is he's a business owner. He owns this company called Before and After Builders, where he renovates people's homes for a living. I like to say he makes beautiful homes even more beautiful.
Puts the shine on them.
Yes, he does.
Well, that's cool.
Does.
And he's still out there?
He is. He's been active for 30 years, and I don't see him showing any signs of stopping anytime soon.
So what did you need to do to help him?
Basically, he just needed some hands-on people. My husband has a lot of experience with just using his hands in general, building things, painting projects. He's been on several construction crews in his lifetime. And we were also kind of looking for a way to move back home. We have a family that we're starting soon.
Yes, that's right. You are expecting, right?
Yes, I am. Our first.
Yes.
He will be making his appearance hopefully in April. So
congratulations.
Thank you. And it just kind of worked out that, my dad needed some assistance and we were willing to make the move and I'll be a little bit closer.
That's great. Well, welcome back home, Memphis, Bartlett. I know Bartlett pretty well, but
Thank you.
Hernando's a beautiful place. So I'm hoping maybe, you can make your way down here, but because that's a hike, Bartlett to Hernando.
It is a little bit.
That's a good little commute. And are you at the library 5 days a week, 6 days a week?
I am. Typically 5 days. It really just depends. If we have a friends meeting or something of that nature, I'll come in on a Saturday, to attend those. And sometimes we have programs where we are affiliated with the city that the city's putting on. We hand out books for Excel by 5, which is a cooperative between the community to try to have children ready for school by the time they're 5 years old.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes they don't get the best start, do they?
Not always. Yeah. And, we're trying to make strides to change that.
Great. So let's talk about your childhood.
Awesome.
I'm always interested in someone's upbringing. What were you like in school? Did you have hobbies? Did you play sports? What was school like for you?
So I was primarily interested in writing and English. Obviously, I'm a librarian.
That's shocking.
Completely shocking, completely, out of left field. I always enjoyed writing and reading. I also liked the arts. I did play soccer for a short time, but I was never quite good enough to really cut it with the high school team.
Okay, yeah.
So I stuck with the arts throughout in high school and went on to get a bachelor's in English literature.
And was that out in the Gatlinburg area?
No, this was at Bethel University in McKenzie, Tennessee, closer to Paris. It's about 20, 30 minutes from Paris, Tennessee.
And is that more central? It's between here and Nashville.
Yeah,
right?
It's northwest.
Okay, because I've driven to Nashville 100 times, and I always see the Paris sign. So I'm like, okay, so it's on this side. So Bethel University. Why Bethel? Why the move to?
So Bethel offered a really amazing. It's called a Renaissance program where you can choose between. You can apply or audition for either the choir section or the theatrical section. And they allowed students to do this without majoring in those areas. So I could major in anything I wanted to while also be participating in the arts.
Oh, cool.
So I went and got a scholarship for the theater side and did theater all 4.5 years
Oh, nice.
that I was there.
So
Yeah.
definitely the creative type to
Yeah.
be able to. What was that like? What was that experience like?
It was amazing. It was, I made a lot of close friends, had a lot of excellent experiences. I think my most rewarding role that I had was playing Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker.
You played Helen Keller.
I did.
That must have been a pretty prestigious part.
It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was challenging because though I didn't have any lines aside from, a few at the very end of the play, I had to pay attention to everyone else's because I had a lot.
Cues.
I had a lot of cues. Yeah, there were a lot of cues to pay attention to, and I had a lot of more physical.
I was going to say.
Movements.
The body language must
Yes.
have had to have been a little more than most.
And pretending to be blind and deaf is interesting.
Yeah, you need some acting skills for that.
Thank you.
You're not like the kid in the back wearing a tree costume.
I can't say I've ever played a tree, but I wouldn't turn it down if they needed some assistance.
I wouldn't have even played a tree, and there's no way I was getting on any kind of drama club or stage. But what's weird is years later, I'd become a musician. But I have a guitar to hide behind, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have to say any lines. So you already covered the okay, I had it right here, Bethel University. So then you went and studied information sciences at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville.
I did.
So what years are we talking here, as far as when you went to college?
So I went to college from 2010 to December 2014. I worked part-time in Paris Library. It's called WG Ray Public Library. I worked on and off there as an intern during the summers. My mother is a librarian, so I kind of got a little bit of inspiration from her.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to do something in my life that not only involved books, but also involved having hand-on-hand assistance with people.
Sure.
I love human connection. I love the opportunity to make someone's day better. Yeah. And libraries just happen to be the place that offered the best of both worlds.
It's a place of peace, too.
Yeah, I'd like to think that. They're safe places.
Yeah.
We're an unbiased, safe haven for a lot of people. Or at least that's what I think our goal is to be for the community.
I have not been in my hometown library in several years. But the last time I went there, it was like a time warp for me. And I was 8 years old again. The smell was the same, just the smell of books. They still had the old drawers for the cards. I was like, so it's just also, there's just a classic feel too. And I would gather with today's technology, people probably are not going to the library as much. Is that easy to assume?
Well, yes and no. It really depends because libraries would provide a lot of technology. In fact, libraries provided internet and computers prior to internet cafes coming into existence in the 90s. We've always been a place that's been a forerunner for technology, but maybe not always recognized for that. So I would say actually we do still see a lot of foot traffic and people coming in just to use our computers alone. Right. Which is great because that's what they're there for.
Because there's still some people that don't have access.
That's true. That's very
internet
true.
and have a computer. Can people bring a laptop to the library and tap in?
Yes. Yeah. We got free Wi-Fi.
Woo-hoo.
And in fact, even when we're closed, if you park close enough to the facility, you can access our Wi-Fi during closed hours.
I see, during closing hours.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we still want you to go in. We still want
absolutely.
You to
Please come in if we're open.
Come visit Kelsey, right?
I'd love that.
So you did both universities in that 4-year block?
I did. I ended up in Gatlinburg due to an opening. My husband and I, he was my boyfriend at the time, had been talking about wanting to move to that side of Tennessee. We were both big fans of it, had vacationed there as children, and we just had big dreams of living out there someday. And there just happened to be this position that was available. I applied and drove to the position just to prove how much I wanted it. And the director was impressed. And she offered me a position that wasn't even available at the time.
They made one for you.
Yeah, well, they kind of penciled me in as
Yeah.
a library assistant, and I was there for about 2 years before I decided that this is definitely what I wanted to do, and I decided to go to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, or apply because it was relatively close.
And that's the information sciences.
Yes.
So what?
I was there for 6 years at that library.
Oh, okay. Oh, at the library while going to school
I
simultaneously.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked from being basically a library assistant full-time to eventually being promoted by the time I graduated from my graduate program as the director.
Good for you.
Thank
That's
you.
Great.
Thank you.
So what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2019.
Man, this is relatively speaking just very recent.
Yeah.
Yes. So what does it really mean, like when you studied information sciences? Like, what does that encompass?
It basically means you study where to find information and how to efficiently and professionally provide it to the people that need it. Not only locating resources, but doing, government website research, looking into a little bit of the history of the Dewey Decimal System, best means to serving the community, finding out how to figure out what those needs are, how to make connections with, forerunners and leaders in the community, and basically how to get involved more than anything else.
That's awesome. And how to utilize resources.
Yes.
God bless you, because I'm awful with all of that.
It takes some adjusting, especially for me. I can be a little bit shy at first or quieter. I like to observe at first at times. But, if you get me one-on-one with a few people, I'm more likely to open up.
You haven't been shy yet today.
Well, it's just us. If there were 10 other people in this room, I might be a little bit quieter.
There's no audience.
Exactly.
But like we talked before we started, some people get a little intimidated about being on a podcast, and you've just jumped right in.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Well, absolutely. So the classes. Let's go back to my mom. My mom. So she's probably told me 100 times what she does, but I always forget, right? So what are the classes? What do they offer, and what are the schedules? And because there's also age groups, correct?
Yes. So typically what we're offering right now is more recreational programming, mostly like story times for small children under the age of 5 and under. We also offer, the program that I met your mother at was the First Friday Book Club, where adults can come in and discuss not specific books that everyone has to read as a group, but a book that they want to recommend to the other members, which I think is fresh and interesting. And it also provides, information about new authors and new genres someone may have not discovered before. And also it takes off, I think, the pressure and the obligation to read something that maybe not everyone would be interested in. So I like that fresh take on our book club, and it meets once a month on the first Friday at 10 a.m. So we hope to see you there.
Good deal. Yeah, keep going. Let's list them out.
Awesome. We also do a lot of crafting projects. We're really into crafting and arts at my library.
That's my mom's deal right there.
Yes. Yeah, we have 2 adult programs that meet. I believe there's usually an art break in the mornings about once a month, and there's an art break in the afternoons as well. So, and usually one of those kind of has a throwback theme to something that maybe was popular 20, 30, 40 years ago. And then you have maybe a theme that's a little bit more modern.
So what would these themes be?
For instance, one class we did these keychains that were made out of beads that look like lizards. And it was something that was very popular to have on your backpack in the 90s. So we did that class, and it was pretty successful. People in my 20 to 30 age group range really enjoyed it.
What else do you have?
So we also have a Lego Day that we're starting to implement. That's really exciting. It's going to be available on the 24th of January at 3 o'clock. So please come.
Is that going to be a repeat thing? Or
I believe it should be. I want to double check with my youth librarian, Megan. She's amazing. Shout out to Megan. But I will double check with her. But I want to say, yes, that's going to be a reoccurring thing.
What's the age group for that?
Typically for Legos, I think our age group is anywhere between younger teen to small children. It really just depends.
So 45-year-old guys can't go?
You know what? We could probably do an adult Lego day.
Because I grew up with Legos. Legos, I was an only child growing up. Legos were my friend. You know,
Yes.
I have a very deep connection to Legos.
Oh, absolutely. They're so much fun to put
Yes.
together, and not only to put together, but to see the final product. It's so satisfying.
I was never overly creative. I mean, when I try to build a truck, it kind of always looked the same. But I loved the manuals. I loved following the instructions. Now, of course, I realize maybe it's because I'm very left-brained, you know. But that's the fun part. To the point where I always say, man, just go buy like a $300 Lego set, like the Eiffel Tower or the Empire State Building. And, that would be really fun for me. It'd be a nice hobby, but
That's awesome.
But I'm sure it'd be weird if I was sitting next to a bunch of 8-year-olds playing with Legos.
I mean, honestly, I think they would try to rope you in, especially ones that we see every week. They're active, expressive, excited kids.
Yeah.
So, and we're lucky to have them. We
Awesome.
really are.
Well, it's good that you have the platform for them too.
I'm glad we can. I'm glad we can.
Is there any other classes or anything?
Well, like I said, we do typically tend to do a lot of artsy programs. We do have a Master Gardeners Club that come about once a month as well. I believe it's normally a Wednesday. I know the one that's upcoming next month is going to be at 10 a.m. on the 11th. And normally we sometimes have someone who is an expert in gardening come and discuss gardening techniques. Not always, but there's usually a little bit of a theme. Don't ask me what next month's is. I'm not quite certain.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check with Alexa. But I do know that we do get a good turnout and people have a good time when they come.
Plus, podcasting is kind of weird timeline wise when this comes out.
Yeah.
So, but still, if someone's interested in what February and March will be, do they just go to firstregional.org?
Yes. If you will go onto the upcoming events tab, you can actually select all of our branches, or you could select one specific branch and for a specific time period.
Gotcha.
We have up to, I believe, February right now that's listed.
Gotcha.
And we also print out these calendars, which I have brought today to use as a cheat sheet.
Yes.
So we provide those usually about a month ahead of time at our front desk for patrons to take with them.
So you don't go too far ahead because things change.
We do try to plan about 2 months ahead of time, but we allow ourselves also to make adjustments. So usually like 1 to 2 month calendars are provided ahead of time at the
Things
desk.
happen.
They
Things
do.
change, yeah.
They do. And for instance, with me being a new manager, I have a couple of ideas for programs, that I'd like to get started as well.
And that's your role, right?
Yes.
To start new things.
Mostly, yes. Mostly to, make sure that everything is running smoothly and to, yes, provide new ideas. And
I would gather right now you're still playing a little catch up.
a little bit, yes. I do have one program that I'm excited about. I'm going to be doing on the 10th. I believe it's supposed to start at 3:30 or 4. I'll have to double check. But I am doing an adult Valentine's Day card program for teens and adults. Come in and make a cute Valentine's Day card for your loved one. I'll probably try to provide a couple of tutorials for the different crafting things we'll have. It's just supposed to be something that's kind of in line with our adult art classes where you come in, you take a moment, you take a beat, and you just do something creative.
Which is great because, God, we're so consumed right now, aren't we?
The information overload is a real thing. And that's something else I learned about in my time in graduate school was kind of how to balance time and be aware of the signs of information overload, not only in yourself, but in your patrons, and how to kind of steer them to the right resources rather than being bogged down by, searching 5, 6, 7 different outlets to find one answer.
Yeah. And then it might not be correct.
Exactly.
So I suggest to my audience, take a break, go to the library, take a beat. But when you get out, immediately go to all of the Real Hernando socials and start engaging again. Don't go too far. Don't go too far away.
Don't go too far. I love it.
So I don't know why my brain is stuck on this Dewey Decimal thing because I forget how it works. And do you still have like the cards that you rummage through to find a book?
No, No, it's all digital now. Thank
say.
goodness. Speaking of that, you can actually look at our catalog online through our website. If you're looking for something specific, card holders, people who have a library card can even go online and request certain books. You can put a hold on a book that you're wanting. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a book. It can be DVDs. We have audiobooks. We have all kinds of things.
It's the quick access.
Yes, we try to make it as smooth as possible.
So what happens when a 12-year-old's late on a book? Is it like an email notification now?
Typically, yes, we do email notifications. I will say most of our items automatically renew the first time you check it out. Typically, a checkout time for the most items is 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Then you'll receive an email letting you know that, hey, your stuff is about to be renewed for an additional 3 weeks. And then it lets you know an additional email that, hey, your dues are coming in. But we are very, very flexible, and we're always willing to work with people on their fines.
Shocker, right? You seem like someone that's pretty friendly.
Thank you.
So, let's change gears a little bit. Who are some of your favorite authors? I'm sure people might be interested in that.
Oh, my goodness. So one of my favorite genres is absolutely fantasy. I love being immersed in a whole new world with all new systems and cultures and means of thinking and ideologies. And one of my favorite authors is Sarah J. Maas. And one of my favorite series from her is the Court of Thorns and Roses series. And one thing I really love about it is it's a bit of a retelling at first. The first book is. It's a bit of a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, East of the Sun, West of the Moon, and The Ballad of Tamlin. And The Ballad of Tamlin, I believe, is an Irish or Scottish ballad. I want to say it's Irish. And East of the Sun, West of the Moon, I believe, is Norwegian. So, but it's a beautiful story. And I love telling people that by the second book, it just gets that much more incredible and encompassing, and it spoke to me.
Do you read every day?
Maybe not every day. I do try, especially with my commute. It helps that I have access to Libby and Hoopla. Once again, wanted to mention those, or I can download free audiobooks, and I do tend to listen to audiobooks on my way to work and back.
Is it the same satisfaction, or do you still prefer to just sit down with a book and flip pages?
It really just depends on my mood. If I'm really busy, like right in the middle of something, maybe I'm trying to get ready for work, or I'm cleaning, or I'm doing any number of other activities, it's kind of nice to have, someone narrate to you what is occurring, especially if you have a good narrator, someone that fits, I think, the characters, the voice, and things of that nature.
I mean, that's certainly why podcasting has been blowing up like it has for the past decade. It's a companion medium.
It is.
You can be doing something while engaging and listening. I listen to podcasts too. I like listening to podcasts about professional wrestling.
That's awesome.
So that's where I'm at. That's a different kind of fantasy land.
That's awesome.
Judy Blume.
Yes.
Does that sound? She's a classic.
Oh yeah, I love Judy Blume.
Super Fudge. And what was the other one that they made you read in school? Oh man, that was part of the standard curriculum. There was 2 Judy Blume books.
Yeah.
That was the last time I read. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, don't tell me that.
Well,
gotta get you hooked up with Hoopla.
God, I can't remember the other one, but I will say, I am not much of a reader, and can tend to struggle with it at times. Just never really been there. Comprehension's brutal.
Yeah.
But I've just found ways to, learn things. But I've certainly read books. It's just hard to focus.
Yeah, it's hard to take that time. And that's one thing I like about audiobooks is for people, patrons that I have met that have told me they have a difficult time focusing, like you just mentioned, or, having time to carve out to sit down and read, really enjoy audiobooks because it gives you an opportunity to get immersed in something without having to physically sit down and read it. I mean, even my husband, who is a huge avid reader, he loves to read. He actually, I think, prefers audiobooks due to the way his mind works. It just helps him be able to do multiple things at once. He can't sit still. And I've noticed that a lot of people that are like that prefer to have an book format.
I might have to try that.
You should.
You know, my attention span's pretty much like a squirrel, but
you're not alone.
But my retention has always been a problem too. Like there was a period where I was thumbing through a lot of different James Patterson books, and I'm telling you, the next day after finishing a book, I couldn't tell you the lead character's name. I don't know why, it just never sticks.
If it makes you feel any better, there have been times when I have really enjoyed a book, and as soon as someone asks me what I liked about it, it's just kind of like drawing a blank.
And I'm like that with movies, too. A lot of my friends, they can quote lines, and they just know all the characters' names. And I watch a movie. I could watch a movie 50 times.
Exactly.
And I can't quote anything.
You can be entertained by something, but it doesn't always mean that you retain everything that occurs.
It's in the moment.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you're relatively new here, so you're still trying to play catch up. You did mention that you have started a program. You want to start more, but even in your status now, as far as how long you've been here, where do you see things going? Is this a long-term relationship that you want to have with?
I absolutely hope so. Yeah. I'm enjoying the community. I'm enjoying getting to know our patrons. I have a fantastic staff. I really do. Cool. I'm very, very lucky. I have very friendly people at the front desk, so don't be afraid of the scary librarian. We are not like that here.
Well, if my mom loves the library, you guys doing all right. My mom.
Awesome.
But so how many people are in your staff?
So we have currently, I want to say about 8 people that I organize hours for and come in. Gotcha. We have a few people that are in for part-time positions, and I'd say about 3 or 4 that are full-time staff members.
Do you all get involved with the Chamber of Commerce or any of the local events?
Yeah, absolutely. We recently participated in the Dickens of a Christmas event. Yep. The library provided the Mickey Mouse Twice Upon a Christmas movie, and the National Guard was kind enough to provide the screen to show the movie on.
For context to anyone that doesn't live here, we have a nice little square in front of the courthouse. They're so lenient on letting things happen in front of the courthouse. We have concert series with local bands 2 months out of the summer. We have a lot of activity there. And that's right, I forgot. They put up this massive screen, and you just sit on some lawn chairs, and this year was a little cold. So
it was a little chilly. We highly recommended people bundle up, and I was just glad that I brought extra layers.
I know, now it's in the 50s.
I know.
Which is nicer than that little cold spell we had then.
And it's supposed to be freezing by the time Christmas comes up in a couple of days. What is it now, 5 degrees?
It's supposed to be, I guess, yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm from Maine, and I hated it. It's brutal, but at least it was consistent.
Yes.
Here in the Mid-South, it's just a little radical.
Yeah, I think some of the South's favorite saying is, if you don't like the weather, just wait around 5 minutes and it'll change. I've literally heard that statement, I think, every place I've lived in. And I've lived in Paris, Tennessee. I've lived in Memphis. I've lived in Bartlett. I've lived in the Smokies.
It's this whole region of the country, Mid-South.
It is.
And the difference between where we're at right now, which is the top of Mississippi, to the south in Biloxi, there's a huge difference in weather. Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me.
I think it's probably, a 7-hour drive? I could be wrong. Someone's probably no, it's 8. But when you really think about it, though, it's relatively close. But, man, it's a big leap in temperature, and it's a little warmer down there. But it is what it is. I used to pick on the South when it's snow and the city shuts down, but I get it.
Yeah, we're just not quite equipped for that kind of, it's because it's unexpected.
There's no tools to clean it up, and then it turns to ice. So now it's I don't get on the roads.
Yeah.
I mean, this is dangerous.
It is dangerous. It is. So just be aware, everyone that's listening. I know it's going to be a little late for this, but, it's highly recommended by your librarian to check your weather and, just be aware of what's happening.
Taking care of the community. Look at that.
Thank you.
Are we missing anything? Is there anything that you feel like you would like to talk about?
I do want to just circle back on some of the resources we have, such as the computers.
Absolutely.
I know you mentioned that. We have currently 20 computers at our facility alone. 5 of them are being updated right now. So we have 15 that are available for usually 30-minute slot times, and we can extend that time if you need it, if necessary. We also have all kinds of databases that we have access to, including Learning Express, which is great for students of all ages, like from preschool age, even earlier birth to, being in college, being in graduate school. So we also have Heritage Quests for those of us who are really interested in learning about family heritage or even the heritage of the community you live in. That was a great resource. I even found my grandmother's information the other day while taking a class on this, and that was really cool to see. And I loved that we provide it for free to our patrons. EBSCO Host is one of our biggest ones that's kind of all-encompassing for information station. And, of course, Libby and Hoopla. Not only is it audiobooks, it's also ebooks and magazines, periodicals, things of that nature that you may otherwise have to pay for a subscription. So that's always great. And also, one thing I do want to mention is we have different library card memberships. There's all kinds of memberships. If you are not a member of this county, if you don't work here on property or anything of that nature, but you have a tendency to come visit the area a lot, we do have a membership where you pay $30 for a year and you have access to all of these resources that we provide. We have the traditional adult card where you can take out, I believe it's up to 100 items at one time.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
You can check out 100 books?
You can. Yes. If you are an adult and you have a library card with us, you can take out 100 books at a time. Non-residents can take out, like the ones that I just mentioned, where you pay $30 a year. You can take up to 35. And youth cards, we have 2 or 3 options. We have the general youth card, which is just like the general adult, but it's 35 checkouts rather than, 100, because we only have so many children's resources. And we have a youth fine-free library card availability where the children can take up 2 items indefinitely. No fines accrue, nothing of that nature for them to worry about. And they just need to return the 2 items to take out additional items. And finally, I think my favorite thing that we provide is the Books by Mail service. It's for patrons who are homebound and cannot leave their homes. And we can send up to 4 DVDs and unlimited book checkouts. That's unlimited for 30 days at a time with no late fees. You may get a message in your email that you owe fines, but it's automatic. You will never have to pay for anything other than items that are destroyed and or lost.
You mentioned homebound. It made me think of COVID.
Yeah.
What was that like for the library?
So I don't know a whole lot I can speak on in terms of Hernando when it came to COVID. I know they made a lot of efforts to reach this community as much as possible. We still provide a curbside checkout. And I want to say that was a big thing during COVID.
So you kept it.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of these little restaurants adapted to in that way too, and they stick with it now. So,
so we still provide curbside if you're feeling, like you still want to keep a distance or you want to just be super safe. We do still provide that program.
And the Hernando branch masks are, are up to your own discretion.
Yes, they are optional. Absolutely.
Okay, optional. That's the right way to say it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Absolutely. And you're right across the street from me.
Yep.
So, maybe we can talk about other, forms of content and media that we can do to help promote you and your business. Before we go, though, let's give the listeners a little homework, shall we?
Absolutely.
So it's time to share, everybody. Sharing is caring. If you want to help support this podcast, which then help support people like Kelsey, I have 4 things that I need you to do. Just 4, okay? Go to our website, therealhernando.com, and subscribe. It's free. It's just an email. We're not asking for security codes here. And what that does is when a new episode launches, you get an email. Then go ahead on that website and grab an episode link and just share it with your friends and family. Spread it around. Go to the website and click on the YouTube icon and subscribe to the channel. That is very huge. Getting some more subscribers in the channel would be very helpful. And then follow us on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and share these stories, these posts that we put out there on your feeds and in your stories. All pages are at The Real Hernando. And like I said at the front end, this is an SRP studio production. So I appreciate Kelsey being here today. And we'll hopefully do this again sometime.
I'd love that.
All right.